News Radio, KFGO.
The Mighty 790 and 104.7 KFGO. Welcome back to The Drive. I'm your host, Dan Michaels. Paulie Lines is our producer. Paul Jurgens, the KFGO News Center. Well, the Bison and the Fighting Hawks square off tomorrow afternoon in football, and things are a lot different this year than they've been in some time. North Dakota State, I think if everybody was honest, would probably be seen as the underdog going into the ball game, even though they are ranked in the top 5. UND is number 2 and unbeaten into the nation, and their quarterback was named the Missouri Valley Football Conference Player of the Week last week. So, boy, there's a lot to talk about with this football game coming up, and I'm so excited to have this gentleman join us for his perspective. He has been a sports writer for the Forum for many, many years, but, boy, I remember his father very well, his father, Ed Kolpack, for all those years. You could probably call him the first family of sports writers in North Dakota, the Kolpack family. And Jeff Kolpack joins us this afternoon to talk a little bit about Bison Fighting Hawks football. Good afternoon, Jeff.
Good afternoon, Dan. Can you define many, many years? So what's a definition of many, many?
Decades. Many decades. How's that?
Yeah. I always get it's always a kick when it's the veteran writer.
That's true.
Old to write now, or what?
You don't need teeth to write, so. Hey, Jeff, before we get started on this, your father was just the best, and I don't know if it's okay to talk about your dad at all, but when I was a young man and I was first in broadcasting in Fargo, and even before that, growing up in Valley City and being in athletics and reading his columns all the time, you must get asked a lot about your father's legacy wherever you go. Your dad meant a lot to a lot of people.
Yeah, I appreciate you bringing him up, actually. It's been so long since he's been gone that sometimes I have to go back to pictures to remember what he looked like. I mean, he passed away in 1993. And I'm a writer and not a math guy, but that's a lot of years, isn't it? I mean,
that has
27, 28 years. I mean, it seems almost just bizarre when I think about that.
But, I think his impact is still being felt, though.
Yeah, I hope so. I appreciate that. He came here in 1948, I believe. He graduated in 3 years at the University of Minnesota, and I almost went 6th, and he never let me hear the end of that one. And, so my oldest brother graduated from NDSU in engineering in 4 years, which is that's a tough discipline.
No doubt, yes.
And then Dave went 5 at UND, and then I almost went 6th. And I remember after the ceremony on graduation, he just goes, "God, good thing I don't have any more damn kids. I'll be in school forever."
He could finally keep his money, I suppose, or something, huh?
Yeah, I don't know. But, no, yeah, he had such an impact on here. He came here in 48, one job, one company. Actually went to school with Bud Grant and was pretty good friends with Bud Grant at the U of M. They graduated the same year. And so he would go down to Vikings games and when Bud was covering it, and there was a little more. I never saw the interviews because Dave and I were running around Met Stadium, I don't know, doing whatever. When kids could run around without supervision, I guess.
Yeah.
Without supervision. And I think he enjoyed those kind of things, obviously. But he was there for the rise of the NDSU football program.
Yeah, he sure was, and throughout its many years. And of course, the other thing I wanted to say about him too, Jeff, is that he was just such a good person. Your father was such a good guy. It was always fun. And can you imagine a little guy big guy, but small town guy from North Dakota getting a chance to come to Fargo and work and getting to meet your dad right away, and what a thrill that is. After reading his stuff, I kind of had stars in my eyes. It was always fun to meet him, and he was always so darn humble and nice and down to earth.
Yeah, I don't know what happened to Dave and I. I don't know where we get our loud, obnoxious behavior.
Oh, yeah.
You can't. My mother, I guess.
You can't get a word out of you guys. That's funny.
I know. And he had such a impact on people that I still, to this day, hear from veteran Bison fans. Oh, your dad never would have wrote that.
Sure.
They don't agree.
There's always
my dad. He would get after NDSU though. There's no question. It's just over time you forget about things like that.
But, at the same time, you got to do your job. And with that, let's jump into it here today. UND playing very well coming into this football game. Tommy Schuster, 849 yards, 7 touchdowns for a redshirt freshman quarterback, throwing 68%. Missouri Valley Football Conference Player of the Week last week on offense. Boy, the UND, Bubba Schwaggert's got him playing really good coming into this ball game, Jeff.
Yeah, much sooner than I think a lot of people thought with UND. They thought maybe going to Missouri Valley would be much like NDSU's indoctrination, and it took 2, 3, 4 years before NDSU matched up with the Northern Iowas of the world physically.
Right.
And Craig Bolt did that. It took a few recruiting classes, but he finally did that. UND is bang right off the bat. I think there's a couple reasons. One, they have a really good offensive line coach. I think Joe Pollock, I believe is his name. He was a graduate assistant under Tim Polasek at University of Iowa. Polasek was a former old coordinator here.
Right.
So I've talked to Tim about Joe. He goes, that guy can just work. I mean, he's good. He knows what he's doing, and that's obvious. Their offensive line is played very well. They have, I think, the best running back in the FCS in Otis Weah from Moorhead. That guy has just been a productive machine. The first guy rarely brings him down. I mean, his yards after contact must be just enormous. So, and defense has played pretty well. So, and their schedule's really been beneficial too. They had the first 3 at home. They had Southern Illinois. The week before, the Southern Illinois played the Bison. South Dakota State was a really good win. They had South Dakota after a road trip on a short week. And then the first road game was at Western Illinois, which is just an awful team. So, I think if the Hawks win on Saturday, and I think they're favored, even though Vegas has NDSU as a 3 or 4 point favorite, I think all those of us who cover the teams and follow it pretty close, UND has just played better, and they're a better team at this point.
So let's go right there. Jeff Kolpack joining us from the Forum, and we're going to talk about his golf show in a minute here, too, before we run out of time. But, Jeff, let's go there. What will change? What will be the story on Monday if UND wins this game?
Well, if UND wins this game, I think they'll, on defense, hold NDSU to a lot of second and longs. NDSU has not been particularly good on first down. They've been in a lot of 2nd and 9s, 2nd and 8, and that's, with the quarterback issues that they've had, that's just not a very good recipe. So I think first down is going to be big, and you can always point to turnovers, I guess. I mean, that's an easy one. But I think first down production is going to be something to look at. And the NDSU true freshman quarterback. I mean, let's face it, he's probably going to play most of the series, and we'll see how he handles this kind of a game. I mean, it's big, and here's the other thing. I mean, this is not going to be a full dome. They have 9,500 seats out. Most of the tickets held by Bison fans, but only 6,000 are going to the games. I mean, there's been a large portion of no-shows for Bison fans. And you know what? It's a pandemic. We get it, right?
Right.
So you're not going to, UND offense will probably not have the issues of snapping the ball like they did the prior 2 times at the Dome, and that'll help them. So I don't know if you could say a home court will be, something that you can usually put out a touchdown on that. I don't think that's the case right now.
Not without a full crowd. I kind of agree with you there. No. And Jeff, there's a little bit of magic that goes into this football game too. I guess 1981 is one of my favorite years. If I'm not mistaken, North Dakota State was 0-2. People were whispering about Don Morton's job, and UND was 2-0 and ranked number 1 in the nation. And they came to Dakota Field, and North Dakota State absolutely ripped them that year and went all the way to the national championship game. But before, I believe they got beat by, Southwest Texas that year. But, there's been magic in this game before. A little bit of, fairy dust is sprinkled on the thing. Anything could happen. But Cam Miller could find it all. The Bison could shift into a different gear, and we're off. What part of the lore of all this goes into thinking what happens on the outcome of a football game? The magic, the lore, anything can happen.
Well, Dan, you've done your homework, man. 1981.
I'm an old guy, stuff. Man. What can I say?
Wow. Well, an old Valley City football player, right? And doing your Bison homework. Look at you.
Well,
the lore. This will be a lore game just because it's in the spring for one. It's in a pandemic for 2, and both these teams are near the top of the FCS. I mean, number 2 versus number 4. So yeah, it's going to be probably the unique game, I guess, if you would. I mean, just because we're in a pandemic, and maybe we'll forget about that, except for the time of the year. I mean, I look at Woodstock, Dan, came during a pandemic, the Hong Kong flu. I mean,
oh, wow.
When you watch Woodstock videos, do you ever think of the Hong Kong flu?
No.
I don't.
No, I don't. I think of a lot of other things, but I don't think, why don't these people have some clothes on, is what I normally think of.
Why are they wrestling in the mud, and what is it they're smoking? I mean, that's what you think of a Woodstock.
Yeah, you do.
So when time flies, I don't know how time will treat this game, whether it'll treat it as, some people at an asterisk game or season, spring season, or legit season. I don't know. That'll be for something to discuss in the future. But
okay.
You know what? We got football. Let's enjoy it. Two good teams. It's going to be a lot of fun from starting at 2:30, and I'm not taking football for granted after last fall being bored out of my gourd. I mean, I'm just enjoying covering football.
Yeah, I hear you. Jeff, before we wrap up, I want to ask you what you think of the draft coming up here, as long as I've got you on the air. But let's talk real quick about the Michelob Ultra Golf Show with Jeff Kolpack on the Fan. When does that start? Yeah,
it starts in April. So we actually will get some details ironed out here shortly. I've done the golf show for, 16, 17 years. I really enjoy it. It's a seasonal show, starts in April around Masters time and goes through August. Dan, if I could just do a golf show and that's it, I mean, I'd have life pretty. What do you do? Oh, I do a golf show once a week.
That'd be great. And then maybe go down south in the wintertime so you can keep doing the golf show.
Yep, so it's going to be on the Fan, 740 The Fan. I'm happy to be on the old sports station. I'm really looking forward to that. Golf and a sports station go hand in hand.
I'm into that.
Looking forward to working with the great folks at the Fan. And it's just a fun thing to do. I have a blast with it. Local pros,
right?
Equipment, courses. I mean, anything golf. Amy Olson, Tom Hoagie, are always a staple.
Yeah,
who better than those two to have on?
No doubt. I see Tom picked up a cool $135,000 last weekend before.
Yeah, that's not bad. Yeah. It's like radio talk show host kind of stuff.
Not quite. Hey, and on the way out of here, Trey Lance, is he a top 5 pick in the draft?
I think he is. I think he'll go 4 or 5. I think the 2 reasons. One, the quarterbacks seem to be pretty good, and Trey really showed on his pro day how good his arm was good. He showed a hard, strong throw, and
he looked really
arm
great.
Strength.
And he's so big. Yep. It's really shocking how big he is.
Yeah. Oh, he's 6'3", 225, 6'3.5". I think he measured 6'3 3/4. Now that I think about it.
Yeah,
so I look for a top 3-4 pick, and next year's draft class with quarterbacks apparently won't be good. So if you're looking for a quarterback, you better jump on him early.
I'm a big Steelers fan. I sent a note to the Steelers saying they better pick him up. I haven't heard back from them. I don't know if they're taking advice from me. I know. Jabril Cox is going to go. Dylan Radins, and those 3 guys, by the way, Lance, Cox, and Radins, all listed in Daniel Jeremiah's top 50 prospects at ESPN and NFL.
Isn't that something?
That's
They're all on the field at the same time.
Incredible.
Unbelievable.
Jeff, we're getting played off the stage, as normally happens to me. Such a thrill to have you on. I'll see you at the Fargo Dome tomorrow, okay?
Sounds good, Dan. Enjoy the game tomorrow.
Thank you so much. Jeff Kolpack joining us this afternoon talking Bison fighting Hawks. KFGO time is 4:24. You're listening to The Drive on the Mighty 790 and 104.7 KFGO.
You're listening to The Drive with Dan Michaels.
I guess I was going about 65 tops.
7.